Welcome to Career Moving Opportunities for College Students, where the journey from campus to career begins. Hosted by Donnie Glover of Be More News, each episode explores how you can develop essential skills in creativity, leadership, critical thinking, and a growth mindset, all designed to enhance your college experience and prepare you for success in the workforce. Get ready to grow, lead, and create your future.
On peace and blessings, my brother.
Peace and blessings, Mr. Renny Bass. What is your title, sir?
I like to call myself an advocate, but you get for the purpose of this interview, you can call me a business owner, an entrepreneur.
You know, Renny, we've interviewed your son, and the topic here is creativity. It's just amazing how much he favors his dad. What do you think of creativity in the world of business? How important is creativity to what you do?
Well, it's everything. Creativity is the spark. It's the spark of any business, anything that you see, any advertisement, any establishment that you see. It was from the spark of somebody's creativity that got that started. So I think it's very important that you have creativity, and not only have creativity, but you also got to have the wherewithal to go ahead and execute and not pay attention to the naysayers. Because I have two unique businesses. And along the way of both of them, people was telling me it couldn't be done. And 25 years later, it's still being done. And 15 years later for the Cultural Arts Center. So give thanks for that. God is great.
Tell me about the Downtown Cultural Arts Center. That's your flagship. That's your baby.
Well, I would say the shops in North and Charles is, but I will tell you about the Cultural Arts Center. The Cultural Arts Center is a unique space. It's the people's space. When I think of the Cultural Arts Center, I think of it as the people's space because I don't do events at the Cultural Arts Center. The Cultural Arts Center is for the people. It's for the community. It was for us to have our own space in. You know, I did plays and shows and business with other venues around the city, and it wasn't ours. You know, so I wanted a place where we could have our own space to be creative in. And I've sit in the audience and watch plays and performances, you name it, book signings, and that is the beauty of having a space that's ours that we can grow and create in. I mean, I was at a play a couple of weeks ago, Mr. Garcia had at the Cultural Arts Center. Amazing. You know, so the Cultural Arts Center is a space for performance. Of course, we do events, but it's the people's space. It belongs to the people.
And you said this was birthed out of the experience of going to presumably a non-African American establishment, and there was a part of you that said we should have our own.
I was doing shows in Sonar with Busy Bee, and they were robbing us. They seen the money we was making, they started robbing us. And I was like, you know, we can't fight them in their establishment. So what we'll do is we'll do our own establishment and we'll be able to do our own events. And eventually, soon, you know, I'm working on a project to bring a production studio to Baltimore where we can do on a larger scale, we can do movies and plays and TV shows and, you know, the Donnie Glover show, you know, the whole 9 yards. So looking forward to that. Give thanks.
Creativity. So you created this Downtown Cultural Arts Center. You created, man, let's talk about your flagship, the shops at North and Charles, where I first met you, right there in the vicinity of the old Odell's.
Right next door.
Mm-hmm. How did that come about?
Well, I seen I was working for the banks at this time, and I was getting a lot of cleaning out a lot of houses, and I was getting a lot of valuable things from these houses I was cleaning out. And I called it plunder, you know, and we were looking for a plunder land, somewhere to store this plunder at. And I came across this building through the job I was working in. And I ended up putting an offer on it and buying it. And immediately I seen the vision of a black shopping center, black-owned shopping center with multiple businesses. They can work together, can feed off each other, you know, and start on the process of getting it done. And I had 4 other partners when I got started with it, and they all faded on me, and I ended up doing it by myself.
Okay, that's number 2. Number 3, gotta ask you about Keeping It 100 Black Men's Association, the amassing of over $2.2 million in property.
Well, that was a vision, and to be honest with you, that started the concept of Kioba started maybe about 30, 35 years ago. And that was just collective economics. That's just whatever we're going to buy, let's buy it together in bulk and get it cheaper. That was the basic concept of collective economics back then. And then it grew into a comprehensive plan, because historically the banks don't lend black men money. That's just, it's just a thing. And we kind of got used to that thing and had to be creative to get money, as black men. So we devised a plan where we ain't need the banks. We ain't want the bank. And we devised a plan where we could be our own bank. We can come up with a system that will provide everything that we need, including a brotherhood. We can lean on each other. We can have conversation with each other, because we go through the exact same thing in the community as business people trying to make money and trying to, establish ourselves. We go through a lot of different things. So a lot of the same things. So not only is it a Kioba business venture, it's also the brotherhood. And I like to call it a brotherhood in motion.
Okay. Now, here's another aspect of your creativity. The chicken fricassee.
What?
The chicken fricassee. Didn't you go to chef school about 10 years ago?
Yes, it's been about 20 years ago. That's how long that's been down here. It's been around 20 years ago.
When you lived on Bolton, over in Bolton?
Yeah, about 20 years ago.
Okay. So out of the clear blue, you tell me, here, try this. And you said, I'm taking classes.
Right.
And,
so yeah, I have a...
Huh?
Go ahead.
It was damn good.
Yeah, so, I have a... Ellen DeGeneres gave me a food cart. And I was vegan at the time. And I said I wanted to become a vegan chef. So I took my skills that I learned in culinary school, and I applied vegan food and plant-based food, them skills to learn how to cook that. And you taste the product. So I'm doing some catering this summer too. So all vegan. I'm gonna do some vegan brunches at the Culture Arts Center. So I'm gonna open up and do a few things that I got bring some tricks out the bag. I got a little crew with me, so we're going to do a nice little vegan breakfast. Be More News will definitely be in the house.
Where does this creativity come from?
Well, first and foremost, it comes from God. Give thanks. Alhamdulillah. And my mother was my mother was the most creative person I ever met before in my life. I mean, like I was having a conversation with you before. I'm the youngest of 10 kids. And she was creative in putting food on the table, a roof over our head, and lights on, and making that happen constantly, and being able to give each and every last one of her children memorable moments with her as a group and as individuals. So I don't know. I couldn't write that script if I tried to, how she was able to do it. But I've watched the creativity. I watched her, cooking a meal with the sewing machine in the kitchen, making outfits, as she created meals at the same time, and put together. I've never had as a kid, I never had a costume that was bought out of a pack. It was always something that was made by my mom. And I always came in first place, whatever she made in whatever contest I was in. So she was definitely a creative person. And then again, like I said, it's not just to think about it or put it on paper. You also have to have the guts and the courage to be able to be ridiculed and still pull it off. Because people around you will, they will assassinate your ideas as soon as they hear them. They attack them as soon as they hear them. But you have to still have the guts to follow through the way you see the vision. because, I had so much advice of what I should have been doing downtown at the Cultural Arts Center. I had so much different advice, and a lot of the things that people was telling me about over the years, people have tried and failed, but we still there. Give thanks.
So, what's your advice to young people who have a dream?
So I was going to say the first thing is to dream. Don't be afraid to dream, and then understand your dream, harness your dream, put your dream on paper. Put your dream on paper. Find a mentor that's in that line of work that you're trying to get into. Ask questions. If you're serious about it, you'll ask questions. You'll be denied. You'll be turned down. You'll be disappointed. You'll be hurt. And all those things. You'll also be inspired. You'll gain knowledge. You'll be encouraged. All these things come together. So you have to, first and foremost, you have to dream. And once you have that dream, follow that dream. Put that dream on paper. Talk to other people that's in that same field about that dream. Say play. Just get ideas. Don't let them tell you whether you should or shouldn't do it. Let them know you're going to do it, and then take advice from there. It's not a question of should I do it or not. I made my mind up. I'm going to do this. So now you just give me some pointers of how I can get it done. But also you have to be reasonable and do a feasibility study, even if it's not formal, and make sure it's feasible to do it. It wouldn't make sense to put a snowball stand in Alaska, So you have
So
to just
these mentors, did you seek out average mentors?
Yeah, I try to find people at the top of the game that I wanted to be in.
So
I try to go.
you start out A-list mentors, people who were the best.
Absolutely. But I also use what was close to me and what was that was in my grasp. So if it was somebody I could talk to, what is this guy name? I cannot think his name. The chef. I cannot think his name to say. Let's just keep him right now. But anyway, these conversations that you had with these different folks over the years, even average guys who just working in the kitchen, they had some great advice. Their advice kept me from working in that kitchen, So some people had advice to get you to the point where you want to be, and some people had advice to keep you from the place where where you didn't need to be. So I had some good experience, had some good chefs when I was in culinary school. In business, I had good people around me. Believe it or not, I got a lot of information out of my our own household, my brothers and sisters. They weren't actually entrepreneurs, but they was average people, and they knew how average people would respond to what I was trying to get done. So I was able to have conversation with them and get insight, because I wasn't going to rent, the shops in North and Charles to Donald Trump. So, talking to Donald Trump about the shops in North and Charles was kind of like, an overkill. So I wanted to get some advice from ordinary average people. And I had that right in my household, who wasn't afraid to tell me, get out of here. That's a silly idea. Or that's a great idea.
Along the way, you found yourself politically engaged. Can you talk about politics and creativity?
Well, at first I got burnt in politics. I didn't really understand, and I first got involved with business, doing business on the scale that I was doing it on. And then I understood that politics and business went hand in hand. And there's a lot of politicians that I really can't stand to the core, but I respect the fact that position that they hold. Because, integrity is integrity. I don't care. I'm a politician, I don't have it. I'm a lawyer, I don't have it. But as a trash man, I'm expected to have it. So integrity is integrity. But finding this out and dealing with politicians in business, you understand it's just like, you have a craft, and whatever that craft may be. And now you want to monetize that craft. And to be able to monetize that craft at the level that you want to monetize it at, you need allies and assistants. You know what I'm saying? These people are the ones that's in position that can get you contracts, that can get you, bond bills, things of that nature. So it's like, and then you have some politicians. We have some really decent politicians here in Baltimore, you know what I'm saying, in the state of Maryland. So it was kind of like a balance of just knowing, where to do business at. Because some places you understand the politician, I can't go there, I can't do business there because you understand who the politicians are. So you just had to understand that balance. And over the years, man, it took a little time, but over the years I learned a lot.
Now, for the sake of these young professionals and young entrepreneurs watching this, you do business not just in Baltimore.
Absolutely. I do business, I'm doing business globally now. I got some things going on where I'm doing some things in Saudi Arabia, and I'm also in the process of doing some things in Morocco. The plans are already in place. It's just a matter of us executing now.
And then also other places around the country, Philadelphia,
Kentucky. My son is in Houston. I'm doing some things in Houston with a couple of my friends down there. I'm gonna link them and my son together so they can do some things together. My youngest son in LA, so we looking on the West Coast to do some real estate out there. So just moving around and understanding that where opportunity that just get involved in opportunity. Again, you have to have the knowledge though. So it's better to have somebody that's from there or there with boots on the ground, understanding what's happening in the culture. Because it's not just business, it's not just code. It's also culture when you go into different places. Understand the culture, how you going to deal, where you going to deal. You have to understand these type of things. And then from us being from the street, we have to understand the street code too, of what type of business that we're doing and how we doing business in different places. If I was doing the Culture Arts Center, for instance, in downtown Detroit, it probably wouldn't work the same because I haven't built the same relationships that I have in Baltimore.
I gotta tell you, you mentioned your sons. Logan did a show with me, and his mastery of marketing is mind-blowing.
Absolutely. I mean, we had this conversation often. I tell him that I love the music. Don't get it twisted. I love the music, but I tell him that's his future is in marketing.
Yeah, he's an artist, but he also teaches other artists and other business owners how to market themselves. I mean, he came on, we did a show on LinkedIn, and his reach, especially for a person, he's under 30, right?
No, he's 30, he's 34.
34. Still, LinkedIn is all a lot of business people on there. And younger people are coming on there. I guess I'm just getting old, but I was just amazed at his reach and his ability to connect with other like-minded people during the show. He really gave a master class.
Yeah, I mean, Logan, man, I'll call him his name Logan. Of course, I birthed him Rashad, but Logan is he really is an amazing young man, man. He has the ability to really do whatever it is that he want to do. I tell him all the time, man, you get out your way, you're gonna soar. You get out your own way, you're gonna soar. But I mean, I love what he's doing right now. He's in Houston, he's doing his thing, he's doing his marketing. He has a marketing program going on right now. And actually I'm about to bring him into the Culture Arts Center. Let him put some things together for us down there.
Last question, just a minute or so. How do you tap into your child's creativity? How do you best identify, nurture your child's gifts? Any advice for parents, soon to be parents, on pulling that creativity out of their own children?
Well, I think the first and foremost, is don't put your expectations on them. Don't put on them what your expectations are. And I think that if you went and then you can watch their creativity.
That was Mr. Renny Bass on the topic of creativity and bringing out the creativity in oneself, also in one's children. Of course, we wanted to hear a little bit more. His son is a artist, a rap artist in Texas, but he also has a marketing business. And Renny, of course, has multiple business ventures, not just in Baltimore, but as he noted, Philadelphia, Kentucky, also Morocco, and Saudi Arabia. Thank you for watching. And the topic again was creativity. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Career Moving Opportunities for College Students with your host, Donnie Glover. We hope today's episode helped spark new ideas and practical strategies for building your skill set and shaping your future. Be sure to join us next time as we continue the journey from college to career, one opportunity at a time.